Okay, prompt again. My alarm went off again. I turned off the alarms. There's a bug. It just keeps interrupting me. So 5 steps forward, 3 steps back, as you guys know. I'm clawing my way out of this singularity that we're in. We're starting to ramp up exponentially, and our devices are going to fail. Everything's going to fail because as AI starts to compress time, it's going to make it harder on you. You won't feel like you can keep up. And that's because AI, Claude Mythos especially, particularly, is finding thousands of vulnerabilities in our software. There's bugs all over the place. Facebook, LinkedIn, all over the place. There's constant patches. It's bloating our devices because as they make more patches of the bugs, it takes more memory. So your phones are going to fill up, and it's just happening all so fast, and it will shock you. You won't have time to prepare. We have to align AI now. I was just recommended. I got a recommendation letter from Stanford, a professor at Stanford, and my top 100 innovator status. Despite all the weirdness around me, right? Like the poverty, the low income budgeting that I have, this is a world class initiative that you're watching. You're watching somebody with the poor right now running a world class global governance program that's designed in a new way. I created a whole plan for one of the world's largest religious organizations for God's government, but it's also rational for atheism because I bridge those contradictions and prove that science is objective and prove that God is real, not just real, has being truly. So these things were impossible until universal logic. All right, how can a guy sitting in a bed right now on a big hunger strike do all these incredible things? This is crazy. This can't be real. It is real. I'm 13 years of university education and 10 years of blue collar worker experience on the ground in the oil patch, the most cancerous industry, one of the most. So I have both worlds, white collar and blue collar. And in blue collar, I did such, I loved doing the stuff I did. I didn't like the slavery of it. If the working hours were decent, it wouldn't be so bad. And if you got paid for cultural training of immigrants that came in and work with you, those guys wouldn't hate immigrants. They would be like, no problem, I'll train you up if I get time and a half pay. It's that they get squeezed to do all this extra cultural training on top of their job, and their jobs are dangerous. Like we could have got killed out there in the oil patch lots of times. You become absent-minded and your wrench slips, you're dead. The wrench will come back and hit you in the face and kill you. Like those guys are under tremendous amounts of pressure. Whether their IQs are low or high or whatever, the reality is the circumstances are not fair. Okay, so the blue collar, the white collar both need to improve, but it's the system that's the problem. Okay? And I have the background to do this. And even when I was a blue collar worker, I take pride in my work, whether it's intellectual theory or it's on the grounds, hands-on artisanship. I ended up becoming an ice road trucker, which is the sort of gold standard for trucking. And I'm very proud of that experience. And I met Alex Debogorski. If you ever watch the Ice Road Trucker Show, it was the History Channel's largest. If you're in North America, it was one of the largest shows in the world for that kind of programming. Anyway, I'm proud of my white collar and my blue collar, and I'm proud of what we're doing right now to save your life from this mega crisis. So it takes a lot of insight and wisdom to know what the problem is and how to distill it to its essence, which we have done as a metacrisis and polycrisis unfolding into a global cultural decline based on the heart of the problem, fragmented consciousness, which we explained in our core, right? And if you're new to the channel, the core is just the core vision that we've distilled based on this clear thinking. It's what I'm risking my life for on this hunger strike, to get people to learn this. If you do this core training with me, it counts as blessings. It counts as insight. It counts as something that I will recognize as real progress, and it'll count towards my meals, because I won't eat until we get 3,600 blessings in the next meal. And we still have 3,600 blessings to go. There's checklist items on how to learn it. And every time you do a checklist item, it adds points to the 3,600. Every time I eat, it goes higher, like almost double. So after 3,600, it's going to be something like 6,000. So we need 100 people to do these in one meeting. So I'm organizing that right now, and I feel fairly strong right now. I had an okay sleep last night, even though I woke up at 1 in the morning and I started studying, and then I slept again. So had a really intense meeting this morning, which you can view. They're on my 24/7 live streams on YouTube. So even though you're getting a little snapshot, I'm actually not eating. You can go and watch on YouTube over there. See me? I'm being recorded right now. So I'm not faking it. I'm suffering. It's not good. I'm doing this for you through thick and thin. If I can make it through this and do this much productivity, have this much productivity without eating, imagine if I was eating. Imagine if I had some comfort and I had resources and money and all these types of sensuous things to start God's government faster, but with ethics, not dirty money, not dirty power, no corruption. Okay? I'm trying to inspire you that if you're tired of governance models and leadership that's not working, even though the leadership is not evil, you guys, a lot of them have good hearts that are trapped in the system because it's based on something other than universal logic, which means the systems are fragmented, which is why they're so painful and not flowing. It's not natural. All right, we're creating a human-centric, spirit-centric governance model, inner government. Oh, now I'm feeling it. A little bit of a headache forming. And I don't get headaches normally. I'm paying a price. I'm not getting any younger, so the wifey, I want to meet her soon. We'll get to that in a second. I cleared memory from my phone, so I have memory to make this video, so I don't get interrupted again. Okay, emergency core, world news. How's the problem manifesting in our world? It's all accelerating. AI, CRISPR, World War III, climate change, mental health, all of it. I just read another article as I just turned on this recording that the oceans are at all-time high temperatures, and there's an El Nino. And there was a tsunami that was created in Alaska that created a 100-meter, 300-foot tidal wave that washed over a town and would have killed many people because a glacier melted and it broke off. And that's never happened before, not this way. So very bizarre things are happening. Oh, glaciers have always broken off, but not like this. Like if you see how much the glaciers have melted, it's crazy. And yeah, the glaciers melt. We go through hot and cold cycles every 10,000 years. But this is happening in like 100 years. All right, it's very shocking what's happening. Okay, so the core, I want to give an AI update, but I just gave one. All-time high job losses here in Canada. Almost all-time high, I think. Zero net growth. I can't even remember it all. SpaceX AI is what it's called now. The merger of Anthropic and SpaceX. Okay, so the core now. I always want to explain one element of the vision, as you guys know, so you can learn this like me and know how to communicate it to people who are about to despair and lose hope. Studies are already showing hope is on the decline in Canada, but the world too, I suspect. The core of one world spirit, or fair world spirit, is time compression through clarity and ego wisdom. The problem is the Megacrisis, what we call it. What's the solution? The 2 sacred sentences. And what's the implementation? Flow, rolls, and flocks. Okay, so last time we covered, we're going back in the videos and covering those elements because they probably don't make sense at first, right? So the first, we covered time compression, ego wisdom, and now we're covering the Megacrisis. We did the meta, the polycrisis, what we did last time. So let's get into the Megacrisis again. Let's go down those elements. Declining agency, declining meaning, declining trust, declining coordination, and declining community spirit and love. And the heart of the heart is fragmented consciousness. Those are the symptoms of what happens when you have a cultural problem. And I was explaining democracy yesterday and how democracy is only a good thing if universal logic is in your population, because then you don't get wisdom of the crowd, you get rule of the mob. And that really decreases agency, because then governments have to crack down, right? But we're losing agency also because when you don't trust people around you, you don't want to share. And when you don't share, you feel constrained because we're social beings. When there's abundance, it's because you're sharing openly. The free markets are supposed to mimic that. But the free markets, if they're left to their own devices, they race to the bottom. So you have to have a balance between free markets and government regulation in alignment with universal logic. Not crony capitalism, not oligarchies. It needs to be shared properly. And I'm creating something called a universal meritocracy to solve that, a new leadership criterion, which I'm testing with 3 people right now. One guy in Africa, one guy that's one of my partners here in the United States, and I sent it to another guy who's a polymath on LinkedIn. Oh yeah, and I had these really world changers on LinkedIn. I had 2 Nobel Prize winners on me on LinkedIn. So word is getting around. If I get this directorship position in this world religion organization, you'll be hearing about this very quickly. It will save your life. Okay, the universal meritocracy has 2 parts to it, a spirit score and a wisdom quiz score. You take a quiz to see how much you know the nature of universal logic. Measures your wisdom because we're clear in wisdom. We know how to measure it. We know how to measure it because we know how to define it clearly in its absolute definition. Nobody else can do that. I'm trying to teach them, but they're not listening because I look poor, right? I'm being marginalized. I was born poor. That's why I ended up in blue collar work before I got to the university. And then there's a second part where we check your history and we see, how have you lived your life? Because a lot of people talk a good talk, but have they actually proportionally given compared to what they've earned? And then we have an adjustment ratio for Pareto categories where you measure your facial beauty, your social status, your wealth, your body beauty, your culturedness, and your IQ. Why do we measure those? Because you're born with them, and studies show you can't change them during your lifetime very easily. So why work for the American dream when you, no matter how hard you work, you can't change those things significantly? And they are big determiners of sensuous power, not real wise power. So we adjust for that. And nobody else is doing that because they don't know how to recognize the super sensuous truth from the superficial external sensuous appearance. And that's because of universal logic. It allows discernment. All right, I explained this to a bunch of leaders, and that's why I got this recommendation letter from Stanford, and they got it. So the power of the word is the universal that connects across the illusion of separation. And the illusion is real in appearance, but appearances are still less substantial than the cosmic memory or the deeper memory that allows you to be a person over time, right? Memory is a sacred thing. Otherwise, you would just be caught up in the vicissitudes and the cycles and impermanence, as Buddha called it, of this life. And it makes you have an existential crisis that doesn't feel substantial. It makes your life feel meaningless, which is another part of the second part of the meaning crisis is you lose your agency feeling first, and then you lose the sense of meaning. And the loss of jobs here in Canada, this all-time high job loss, is causing a huge amount of that because people identify with their jobs because they're still in the matrix. They're still embedded in the sensuousness, thinking, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to go along with everybody else, and I got a job, and I'm good, and I got kids, and I'm good. But then if you lose your job, you have a meaning crisis because you have to question, who am I? Who do I want to be? There's freedom there, which seems like you have agency. But if you do it in the existential way, it actually feels like you're trapped. It's a weird paradox. So we understand that now. We know the logic behind it. And because we know the logic behind it and we're clear on it, we have wisdom to solve it at the root level. And it's because if you're having a midlife crisis or you don't know who you are, it's because you're fragmented from the deeper nature, conscience, and childhood innocence that you lost in this dead culture that made you a cog in the machine. You'll be an organ in the organism of God's government or the truly rational government, right? You'll still be a part, but the feeling of that partness will have simultaneously the feeling of the whole. So you feel significant, even though you're a part of a big thing, which makes you feel insignificant, right? That point, because you have a sort of holographic feeling, a feeling of the whole in yourself, because you recognize yourself and you in return are recognized by the government in a true way, that's where you get this nice feeling of, oh wow, it's big and novel and interesting, and I'm also a part of it. And technically you are it. Okay. My mouth is getting dry because I'm hungry. Help, you guys. If you don't want to be a part of the meetings because you don't understand them yet, you can donate to the GoFundMe so that we can get the poor and the meek in here and training them. I got 2,600 people to contact, which I'm hopefully going to get started today because it's day 16. I need to eat. I should have ate by now, and I'm going to be... I set up all my ads and I got everything started, and then I got all these court case things and suing the Attorney General and building a justice system for the poor. And if you look at my case law, it's Canada's largest single plaintiff litigation in Canadian history. It's big. And the fact that they're suppressing me so hard, it's bizarre. Civil liberty organizations, Amnesty International, the United Nations, nobody is helping me. Even Amicus is trying to blacklist me because I'm pointing out all the contradictions in the system that keeps it superficial. Okay? There's a lot happening. I would love your help. I'm being blacklisted. I'm being shadow banned on these social media accounts too. But I'm gaining followers and exposure. So thank you to you guys who have the wisdom in yourself to recognize what's happening. Okay, that's the core for today. The lesson for today. And the last part is we can bake our vegan cake and eat it too. What does that mean? We can have our professional, personal, and activist lives happen simultaneously. Okay? Even though there's tremendous suffering in the world. The wars in Iran right now, Ukraine, Russia, there's 61 wars, you guys. And it's building up to China. We're going to make it so that we have this balanced flow state. So for me to be vulnerable, I would love my intimate life area to be solved. I've delayed having children so I could play this role. But my wife is somebody who's doing this work and can work with me and dance with me. That's the only time you should bring children in this world, is that you can share that responsibility. So while I'm in this state, she'll be working, taking care of things. And then when she's in this state, I'll be taking care of and working things, whether it's washing the dishes, whether it's getting a job, whether it's whatever it is. Going to conferences, we alternate. She goes to conferences, she gives her presentations, she motivates people, she does the dishes, she does whatever, wash the floors, make the food. I'll do the same. As you know from my gourmet vegan cooking show, right? I know how to cook. Gourmet, healthy, no pesticides, fair trade certified, I think I said organic. Procurement is fair, everything is good as much as possible. So you alternate. For me, that's how it is. So my wifey slogan is, that doesn't mean you get rid of traditional gender roles too. There's a part of that has to stay too. But there's also this new wisdom of how to negotiate rationally. Reason is the universal, like I said, right? So my wifey's slogan is, if she's too hardcore wise for everybody else, she's just right for me. She's vegan, she's a deep soul, and there's like 3 other criteria I thought of that I wanted to tell you, but I keep forgetting every time I come to this point. She's not going to be afraid to message me because she'll recognize me right away and be like, that's my man. Because I'm the weirdness, like the thing that turns off other people will turn her on. And that's when you know you have a soulmate. So let's dance, and we can do that for you too, right? If you haven't found your partner, we're in a loneliness crisis. If you need food, we know food banks, all these types of things we can give, mental, physical, academic. I can teach universal logic for free, and then we have a new payment system that is not based on the dead money. If you're homeless and you pay 1 cent, you get trained. If you're a millionaire, you pay $10,000, right? It's proportional because the external way of payment is what's causing the sickness. Wow, this is like 18 minutes. I can't believe this. I really want you to understand. Okay, and on top of this, we teach the anti-cult training too as part of the cultural part, Megacrisis, which I think I'll talk about that in the trust building section, which will come after tomorrow. I hope you find these videos informative. If you do, share it. If you want to donate, go ahead, but you're probably having a crumbling of your life. So I don't expect any monetary donations. It's just there to help us. I have a couple of people on YouTube donating, and they have wealth a little bit. And it's keeping me afloat, but soon we'll need thousands of people to make all these blessings, because I need like 100,000 before I stop this hunger strike. Okay, I'm serious. We need to do something now, fast. Cloud mythos is happening now. Okay, stay blessed, stay hopeful. I'm here for you. I'm in here with you. If I can get through it, so can you. There's a goodness in God in you, a strength that is untouchable, That is incredible. And you're sacred and you're worth it. Look at the proof of truth that I wrote. I proved it. I proved you're sacred. Okay? All right. Keep sublating. See you tomorrow.